Hello and welcome to Correro, a platform where we dissect Nigerian political issues and other pressing national issues. My name is Godwin Sunday. Well, as Nigeria gradually moves towards the 2027 elections, the focus is already shifting to the institutions that will shape the outcome, from Inec to the judiciary and the broader framework of democratic governance. Now, it's important to note that elections are not decided on voting day alone. They are influenced by the rules set by electoral bodies, the conduct of political actors, and the role of the courts in resolving disputes. Now, pertinent questions keep springing forth. And one of those questions that have kept coming is how prepared is the Independent National Electoral Commission? And how consistent is the independence of the judicial decision in electoral matters, as we've seen so far? Now, that's on one hand. The most even pertinent question is what does all this mean for public trust in the system? As political activities begin to build, the credibility of these institutions will play a defining role in Nigeria's democratic future. So tonight on Correro, we examine the 2027 political build-up, focusing on Inec, Nigerians' courts, and the future of the country's democracy. Joining me tonight is Comrade Jacob Akpanachi, Chairman Coalition of Civil Society for Good Governance, and they'll be helping us put all of these issues in perspective. Well, stay with us as the conversation begins immediately after this break. You're welcome back. With me in the studio right now is Comrade, who will be helping us x-ray all of this issue tonight. But it's a delight to have you, Comrade Jacob.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, Mr. Godwin.
Well, Comrade Jacob, let's even begin the conversation by first looking at the whole situation in Nigeria right now. You're speaking for about more than 15,000 civil society organizations in the country. Looking at all of these INEC preparations, the whole Joash Amopiton incident where a lot of people are calling for his resignation, the judiciary right now, the pace at which we even deliver judgments when it has to do with electoral matters. Can we say for sure right now that we are ready for the 2027 elections?
Well, thank you. Your guesses, as well as the guesses of all Nigerians, are as good as mine. The basic thing there is that the electoral management body in Nigeria seems not to be prepared with what is on ground. When the mass of the citizens are always out within the recent and current turnout of events to say that INEC is, one, compromised by action, two, seemingly to be a third arm of the government that is running elections by actions and inactions. I think it is proper that Joash Amopiton, as the INEC chairman, professor in quote, as it were, has a lot to do to redeem the image of the electoral umpire in Nigeria vis-a-vis the preparedness of Nigerians towards 2027 elections with respect to free, fair, credible elections as expected by a mass of Nigerians.
So in other words, you're saying right now that if today is supposed to be January the 1st, 2027, yes, or perhaps January 25th, 2027,
yes,
we are not ready for the elections.
I don't think we are. With the turn of events, I don't think we are. An election that is less than a year from now has INEC meddled up in a lot of questions from citizens, yet unanswered. Here we are with one of the front-running opposition being referred to status quo antebellum. Until date, we are not even sure whether the status quo antebellum means the nullification of status quo or the sustenance of status quo. But as displayed by Inec, there's a lot of questions to be answered, whether or not they are part of government decision to frustrate the efforts of the opposition in Nigeria. And of course, you and I know that without credible opposition and multi-party state system, Nigeria is definitely coasting towards a totalitarian system, which will not tell good of our current and growing democracy.
So let's even talk about the whole structure of Nigerian political parties. You've mentioned the case which I believe you are referring to, the African Democratic Congress, if I get you correctly. And looking at that, a lot of people will say that the African Democratic Congress brought the whole internal disruption for itself by not following due process. You have been following the politics in Nigeria. Help us understand and help us even get a clear picture about
there cannot be a clearer. There cannot be a clearer picture.
So you think that I
don't think so.
So you think at this point
I do not conform to such
the ADC they brought this problem upon themselves. They're not doing due diligence in the whole transition and the coalition process.
I don't think it is so. The statement of the chief of staff to the president about yesterday or 3 days ago at the birthday of Leke Abejide confirms that it is not so. He rated Abejide as a man that is resilient and said a lot of things, but one take-home thing that have shown that the hand of the mainstream party, which is the party that he belongs, has an effective engagement in what is happening in ADC, was the instruction for Leke Abejide to remain in ADC, scatter them, and he ended up as saying, we like what you are doing. How else can it be clearer where the fight in ADC is coming from? I did not put it in his mouth. It is there on the media. So, if such a case has played out from the chief of staff to the president of the country, I think you should understand the direction of the whole affairs with respect to what we are discussing here.
Well, a lot of people might say, saying that he should remain with the ADC, and that comments coming from him might just be some form of a figurative and a figure of speech in order to encourage him to stay and defend what they've built over the years. Or you don't think so?
What have they built over the years that must be protected by a party that is strongly in opposition to yours, and you are encouraging them from the mainstream party? It doesn't flow. These are two parallel lines that cannot be drawn together. But as it were, anything goes currently, because the attempt to frustrate a multi-party state is not just witnessed in only ADC, so that it will not be as if I'm speaking for ADC alone. There are a whole lot of parties in court over one issue or the other that have not been witnessed as this before. The contending factor here is that there should be room for participatory engagement by other parties. If we are coasting towards a one-party state, like I said earlier, it is dangerous for the growth of the nation politically. As it were, the Labour Party are having their own fair share. The SDP, PDP already, have been driven to one corner that we cannot define its existence except outside one man who decides for all in that party, as it were.
Well, so let's even talk about the Nigerian judiciary right now. A lot of Nigerians are, at this point, calling on the government to create some form of a court that is dedicated to just political issues to fast track some of the court decision and rulings on electoral matters.
Yeah.
Do you subscribe to this?
It should be so, but unfortunately, if I take you back to history of Nigerian judiciary with respect to electoral matters, you and I know that the case is getting worse, not better. Right from 1979.
What do you mean by that?
Right from 1979. I will start breaking it down.
All right, please help us understand.
1979, we were at a crossroad of the result of the election between NPN and UPN. And eventually it took a serious effort to bring in Chike Obi, the mathematician, to be able to calculate the outcome of the election. And eventually NPN became the ruling party. Same thing as we keep on moving forward, we still witnessed such 1983. But eventually the major contender then, Awolowo, said he was not going to court because he cited judiciary as being compromised and that he was not going to get any justice even though he had gone to court. And what happened? Of course, you and I know that it was breakdown of law and order, most especially the one that happened in Ondo between Akin Omobriowo and Pa Adekunle Ajasin, that led to a riot that lasted for almost a week when Akin Omobriowo, who lost the election, who won the election, was from the NPN as against Pa Adekunle Ajasin in UPN. And the rest is history. Then coasting down, which led almost to the breakdown of law and order. Not almost, for 1 week, there was continuous burning and a lot of things in Ondo State until Muhammad Buhari eventually took over and scuttled that particular democracy, as it were. And down to 1991, thereabout, when we had the hope to restore democracy. Of course, you and I know that the election was almost concluded with 14 state results being announced. But again, one singular act of the judiciary brought us backwards. And what was that? Justice Ikpeme, at 10 p.m. in the night, and called for the stoppage of the announcement of results from an unregistered organizations like Association for Better Nigeria, led by Aton Zeribe. And the ripple effect of it eventually, in summary of that, was that Babangida had to annul that election on the fact that he said something. He said to prevent judicial, there was a word he used for judicial chaos or something like that. And we were drawn back into another military rule until 1999, which is the current era of democracy we are witnessing. And you and I know that in a lot of cases that have erupted after elections in most recent times, we as laymen may not be able to interpret what the judiciary has as results. But of course, with our layman eye, we can read between the lines and know that the judiciary is not meeting up the expectations of Nigerians. So much that it has affected and dampened the interest of Nigerians in election, because most of the times elections are now won at the court. Now, bringing it in comparison to other countries. In America, there was a state I read about an election that happened, I can't remember vividly. And because of one election, the whole judicial system of that state was prepared are waiting for speedy judgment. The first court, the second court, and the highest court of the state was ready. Within a period of less than 48 to 72 hours, issues regarding that matter was closed. Let me bring it down home. In Kenya, once an election is concluded, the High, the Supreme, and the Appeal and the Supreme Court are always in the waiting to ensure that everything that has to do with that election matters are ended within the shortest possible period. But here we are. In a case of Idoko, Senator Idoko versus Air Marshal Isaac Alpha in Kogi State, lasted until it got, this is a pre-election matter, lasted until 3 months, or I think thereabout, to the end of the tenure of the senator before the case was decided for the rightful owner of the seat to come into power. Though I think the electoral law would have taken care of such now that pre-election matters should be ended before going further into elections. What am I trying to bring here? The defectiveness of our judicial approach to electoral matters have affected us a lot. And I want to use this medium to cry out loud that judiciary is the conscience of a nation. If it is not given the independence to be able to dispense justice as at when due, with respect to every matters that affect the collective decisions of the masses, of course, soon we may not even have a nation, because people will not wait to go to court that does not even give ears to their plight.
So we should be having a conversation around creating an alternative,
speedily an alternative judicial system that takes care especially for electoral matters and do so with speed. Okay, look at the issue that has affected the opposition parties that are in court today. I think we are close to primaries, and a whole lot of issues are not decided by the court.
Just few days away from primaries.
Few days away from primaries. I think by now we should have been done and dusted with issues that has to do with leadership of parties, with composition of parties. Of course, the law does not even permit the court to dabble into internal affairs of the party. Why should courts delay processes that has to do with parties' internal crisis till this point, until almost is getting to the eve of primary elections? I think it is deliberate to me. Deliberate in the sense that
we can't categorically say that it's deliberate. Of course, the court has other pressing issues that they need to attend to.
Yes.
Not just
the
issue around political discourse.
Yes, so, but this issue affects the governance of our state called Nigeria, and it affects every life. Our governance is what we revolve around the lives and living and the expectations of every citizen. Go to any gathering now, 95% of them are discussing 2027. And why is it so? It is because Nigerian state, rather than be capitalist as it were, promised socialist agenda. That is a story for another day.
That story is very interesting, because you've taken us to one point right now where...
well, what I'm trying to say here...
They will say that Nigeria is a capitalist...
economy.
Yes. Masking as a socialist economy.
Yes.
Then because of the confusion within Nigerian space, we now call it a mixed
economy.
So
even if it is mixed,
not got to the communist.
It is not defined.
Yeah, so we don't have a definite.
We don't have a definite, because why I say so is this.
Please go ahead.
Even somebody contesting for councillorship will tell you he's going to give you light and water and road for free. Somebody that is contesting for Senate is compelled by citizens to promise them things that the executives should do. So this is a mix-up. We cannot even draw the line between what a capitalist state is to provide and what... Even
though those are enshrined in the exclusive legislative list.
Thank you.
Which is supposed to be... The Senate are supposed to champion that.
Yeah!
That the Senate...
The Senate is supposed to be lawmaker.
Is a lawmaker wrong to make those promises?
Yeah, to some extent he is wrong. as an oversight, it is good. But to outrightly tell people that you are going to define your role as being an executively assigned role rather than a legislative. People are not telling us that they are going to make law that will lead to reforms that will make the executive perform better. Rather, they tell us they are going to provide. Provision is not your core mandate. Your core mandate is lawmaking. And the executive themselves, rather than in a capitalist system or a mixed system where they should promise people a good working environment that will lead to personal and independent approach to governance, are telling us they will provide everything while we lie down on our beds. It does not conform to the ideology of capitalism. And even in socialist system, it is not even so. The state has the responsibility of providing for all, but the individuals in the state must conform to certain standards.
So you believe at this point that the senators should not even apply the rules of Machiavelli?
Yes.
Tell them what they want to hear and do what you want to do.
Yeah, but in Nigeria, if you tell them what they want to hear,
it has worked to a very large extent.
Yeah, but
where if you don't tell people, you're going to give them light, although it is the sole prerogative of the executive to provide all of this function as enshrined in the Constitution, but based on the exclusive legislative list, the concurrent list, and the residual list, looking at all of this put together.
Yes.
So you're saying at this point that it is wrong for a senator to go by this in his campaign. Is that what you say?
Yeah, to some extent it is wrong, but to an extent, he should define his limit of provisions. The limit of provision with this with respect to this conversation means he should tell them that my core mandate is lawmaking. I'll give you an example. In Kogi State, till date, Senator Jibrin Isai Chocho, he's in APC, and I can say it without any equivocation that he has performed very well. But he has one problem. The problem was that he was not communicating his good works. It takes you to push people to start saying, I had a 20-bed hospital from his place. I have a road constructed by him. We have a rice mill from him. We have an oil mill from him. The list continues as long as you can name them that he has done. But because he's not that type that makes boast of the things he does, of course, he's contending with such issue now to be able to make people know that, I have done this, I have done that. Yes, it is not too late for him to be able to embellish and polish that image. But it has affected him that he was not in that class of the Machiavellian theorist of saying, this is what I can do and doing otherwise. This is a man that have done what is expected of him by oversight. Yet there's an attempt to frustrate his going back for a third term, which would have been an advantage to his people, which I am saying that if legislatures are to make good impact in their communities, it is important that they demarcate the line between the work of the legislature and the work of the lawmakers, but with the promise of an oversight. Not for you to say it as if you are going to be the all and all in achieving the goals that they exist. If you as a senator is saying you are going to construct roads, you are going to build houses, you are going to do this, what will the executive be doing?
Well, it's interesting. Now, let's even take this conversation to the pre-colonial times of Nigeria, where we've enjoyed some form of monarchical system.
Yes.
Absolute monarchy, as it were.
Yeah.
Before we evolved into the constitutional monarchy, although Nigeria does not have absolute control of the constitutional monarchy, because we still parade ourselves around that space. But looking at the generality of the monarchical system, it worked for us pre-colonially.
Yes.
From the south to the north and across the country. A lot of Nigerians right now are saying that we're not ripe for democracy. You are the chairman of the Coalition for Good Governance.
Yes.
Looking at all of this, what will be the best form of governance right now for the country? Should we return back to the monarchical system?
I think no matter how bad you look at our democracy, we have advanced to some extent. The most unfortunate thing is not the system, but the people manning the system. If you look at how far we have come, of course, we are a step further than where we were back those days. But unfortunately, because of lack of attendance to the real issues that affect our nation state, it makes it look as if there's nothing happening. Of course, you might say the monarchical system is good, but it cannot deliver to all our desires. And the issue of equilibrium, of power balance, is not there, because the inherent ability of one person to lead is different from the ability of another person to lead. And until these people are rotated within themselves, you won't know the best out of all. But unfortunately, our leadership recruitment process is marred with a lot of irregularities and have given birth to wrong people being chosen to come into power at odd times. Most especially when Nigerians need the change. It will be mistaken, because many times things have happened in this country that if you reflect back, just back under Jonathan here, there was an attempt to end insurgency by President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. What did people say? They say, you are going to bring mercenaries to kill us. This. And today, where are we? The same people that chased him out of power are now in power. I can give an example. The example is the South African mercenaries that came were targeting insurgents with absolute precision, using remote sensing, and sitting in one particular place and understanding the mapping and going there with real-time precision and getting things done. That was why we could hold elections in 2015, for your information, in some part of the north. Immediately Jonathan left power, those people were chased back. Jonathan removed subsidy. Hell was let loose on Nigeria. People were killed in protest. Today, at a pronouncement at the inception of a particular government, subsidy is gone, and we are living with the subsidy, post-subsidy era, and it is hell on earth, without cushioning effect of subsidy on Nigeria. Jonathan created a post-subsidy removal strategy before he removed subsidy that was scuttled. There were committees formed. Shopee was arranged. Already hospitals were receiving medicines from Shopee. Roads were being patched with Shopee. A whole lot of things. The same government gave rise to Almajiri schools in the north. Go back to the north today. Where are the Almajiri schools? Yet, what that would have done to me was to have been able to reduce the recruitment and conscripting of young people that have not gone to school into various forms of militia that are fighting in the country today. But where are they? In comparison, coming forward, I think it would have been better for us to have removed subsidy then, when the government had promised to build us greenfield refineries. If they had removed it as what dollar was then and built those greenfield refineries, and those greenfield refineries are in operation by now, you and I would have not been talking about a post-subsidy effect anymore. But today, here we are, dollar is floated, dollar is costing towards 1,500 to 1,600 at the parallel market, and the economy is witnessing a continuous spiral inflation, and nothing is done about it. In fact, as I'm talking to you, 2024, 2025, 2026 budget are yet to be implemented to up to 10% concurrently. It's verifiable. And we have an economy, we have a nation state where people live, drink, eat water, eat food. Nigerians are very resilient people, like the president himself acknowledged. But the resilience, if it is taken for granted and dragged beyond certain measure, will lead to a collapse of a nation in an implosion.
Well, I believe you're not a prophet of doom, so...
I'm not. I'm saying the realities as it were.
But then, you've mentioned the issue around we not returning back to the monarchical era.
Yes.
Where you believe it didn't work for us as a country.
Yes.
But for a lot of persons, they will also say that looking at the whole issue around separation of power,
yes,
the structure of the western part of Nigeria enjoyed that full dividends of separation of power.
Yes.
And it worked for them.
Yes.
Looking at the Oyomesi, the Ogboni confraternity,
yes,
and also the Alafin structure, it
yes,
worked. Then bringing it back to the eastern part of the country, it worked for them. And also looking at the whole structure in the northern part of Nigeria, and from the Emir down to the Sarakin Ruwa, Sarakin Fada, and the rest of them. It worked for them.
Yeah.
So this borrowed culture, which we call democracy,
yes,
direct or indirect, it's not fully functioning and it's not delivering some of these desires. Shouldn't we at this point be clamoring for a more Africanized kind of leadership that can best interpret our interests?
Yes, Africans in their own way are strong people to lead, and yes, we agree to that. But then we have gone past the stage of returning back to monarchical system, and I think what should be is an evolving kind of democracy that will be Africanized with institutional balance. Are you telling me that it is the democracy that we are practicing that have prevented governors from devolving power to the local government so much that local governments that are supposed to be the developing hub of our large mass of population do not receive the autonomy of local government judgment they are due? My local government received 439 million naira in December. The same thing with, or better off than that, in Ankpa local government. My local government is on Mala. And all Amaboro local government, let me use my federal constituency as a mark.
You've not mentioned Dekina.
Dekina is the largest in my area. So going there...
When you mention Ankpa and Olamaboro,
yes,
and you take out Dekina, the conversation is not balanced. So
yes, Dekina local government took far beyond that.
All right.
And as I'm talking to you, in all these local government that I've mentioned, that have been taking over 500, an average of 600 million every month from the last 2-3 years, do not have a presence of any contract that is up to 200 million. The worst of them that I cry for, that is most painful to me, is Ibaji local government in Kogi State. Ibaji local government in Kogi State does not have road. And it's a waterlogged area. And it is a one-way in community in Kogi State. And as I'm saying this, I want the state government to listen. The current administration was helped by Ibaji to secure the required standard of percentage to coming into power. But today, tell me, is it democracy that have refused the governor to look towards Ibaji and creating road into that place? They don't have water to drink. They don't have road. As I'm talking to you, if you get to Ibaji, even if you are not from Kogi State, you will start crying. Because of the untold heart. They are living as if they are in Stone Age. In the modern times. So tell me now, is it democracy that have stopped people from devolving power? You know, I'm telling you, if Ibaji gets the total allocation that comes to them, they won't cry to the state or federal government for a need for road. And for your information, Ibaji local government is an oil-producing local government in Kogi State. The laws around our state oil production and the Oil Producing Development Commission does not include them even. So tell me, whose fault? Is it the fault of democracy or the fault of people manning power? I think it is high time that we study democracy and customize it to fit the African system and give more credence to our traditional rulers who forms part of our community. Once these people are integrated into our own kind of democracy, it gives it the needed face that will make it whittle down to the people within the last rung of our economy, which is the local government-based people. If my local government is taking that 439 million, 500 million range that they are taking, and it is effectively going down, I'll run back from Abuja. My father has land. I can go to farm. You won't see me here. If you want to see me in your studio, if it is so, you have to call me from Kogi to come here to attend to issues. But as it is now, one man sit down in the state and gives not less than 5 million to local government chairman, and the rest of the money, they pay salaries of local government chairman, and the rest of the money return back to one point that we don't know. As I'm talking to you, our local government chairman looks as poor as the olden days councillors. Yet, big names, big amounts are tied to their name. It's unfortunate that it is so anyway.
Well, on the lips of a lot of Nigerians right now is the issue around the fact that the ruling All Progressive Congress right now is allegedly trying to destabilize the minority political parties,
yes,
in order to stay afloat.
Yeah.
You are within the corridor of analysis.
Yes.
Looking at this, how correct is it to say that the ruling of Progressive Congress is deliberately trying to destabilize all political parties in order to stay afloat?
The contrite ascension to that have been earlier explained by me when the chief of staff to the president at the birthday of Leke Abejide was urging.
Not even looking at the ADC.
Yes.
Labour Party has had it.
Of course, everybody is having his own unfair share.
We have the Labour Party.
It is from one point of definition.
Factions,
yes,
of the Labour Party.
Yes.
From the Aburi down to
okay. Let me come to PDP. Let me even leave it.
PDP has its own.
No, let me even come. Let me come to PDP. A lot of people
are saying that as it stands,
a state that has
the APC is deliberately trying to destabilize minority political party. But how correct is this assertion? Looking at
it is. It's visible now. You have an APC that a Wike is presenting his own candidate
in APC.
His aspirant in his own party, APC, to the president.
Wike is not a member of the APC.
He's not.
Well, so the candidate.
He's a candidate of PDP to the president.
Let's get that correctly. You're saying that Wike is presenting the candidate.
You should have to go back to the news again.
Let's go back.
Wike presents the PDP candidate of Rivers State to the president recently as against a sitting Fubara that is the sitting governor in APC. It's all over, everywhere. So how are you going to put this together? These are two parallel lines being drawn by force together. It does not conform to any standard. Okay, how do you even explain Wike being a core member holding a better position than any APC member? Now, let me tell you something that the APC did that is in great contradiction to the norms of political parties. Okay, you at penultimate year to election, you have made everybody to come into your party. What happens to your own party members that have been there? In Delta State, former Deputy Senate President Ovia Magege have been preparing himself to become governor. All of a sudden, the sitting governor have been made to go into APC. What do you think? What becomes of the person that have been suffering for the party that rose to the rank of Deputy Senate President in Nigeria at a particular point? In Yola is which state? Adamawa.
Yeah.
Fintri was made to go into APC when there are people in APC all this while down to the NSA, to the president. What happens to the camp of the NSA that have been warming up to become governor?
Don't leave out Zamfara State in this conversation.
Zamfara State!
It will not be fair to leave out Zamfara State in the conversation.
Oh, it's the same thing all over.
Well, because
we saw what Plateau State, yeah. The same thing. So, I wonder how we are going to contain this hydra-headed arrangement in one pot. What soup are you going to form out of it? When people that have been on the queue for so many years are now being sidelined, and many people are going to toe the line of the new order of the man that decamp because he's at the helm of affair that will help the ambition of the president become the ticket bearer. I think there is a way the next election is going to go that we don't know yet. Me, I don't know. I can't calculate how this can work, because I think such a thing had affected Jonathan in his time too. It was part of those automatic ticket thing. Is one of the things that affected Goodluck Jonathan in his time. And I think APC have told that line. I think the most germane thing for Tinubu to have done was to remain the Democrat that he was perceived, in quote, to have been right from his days in, quote, in Nadeco, that he fought for democracy and this. And today, democracy is toddling under you to survive and to be able to walk. It's a sign of a different man from his posted ideology. You can't tell me that you are a Democrat and you are not allowing the multi-party state affairs to run. Because as it is now, the political parties are all in disarray. Who else has the capacity to run through all parties, if not the president of Nigeria?
So you think he has failed in this regard?
He has failed in the regard of, in fact, if I were him, I should have made the opposition formidable. Let it be that, yes, I did this, yet people
have viable option.
Yeah, so that people have viable option. By the time you come out, you are going to come out with a face of a real Democrat. And Nigerians will toe the line of, this man is really a Democrat. But unfortunately, here we found ourselves with every opposition having a third hand in their meddling, and we can't tell the actual state of affairs of opposition. So in the
light of your analysis, right, that you're saying, if I understand it correctly, that the ruling All Progressive Congress has a finger in every...
Sure, it sure does.
In every...
We already have a nozzle to that.
Political crack.
If they are interested...
Or within all the political parties right now.
If the chief of staff to the president told ADC to...
He only told ADC...
Let me land.
Individual.
Yes.
He never said that...
He says scatter them. It means there are so many people that are giving room to be scattered all over.
He spoke to an individual.
That is an inference I have the right to draw.
He should remain in the... If I get his word verbatim, and I try to quote him verbatim and literate him, and try to even give him a literal interpretation. He is saying that stay with the party and perhaps literally scatter them if push comes to shove. They don't want you to remain there. They've come to throw you out of your party. So let's put it in that light. But then he never mentioned that the ADC or the APC is deliberately setting out to scatter the APC. My
inference is in conformity with the inference drawn by every Nigerian on this particular subject,
which is
that the APC has a hand in ensuring that the opposition stays scattered. And the major opposition, as we find it with the current trend of things, is ADC. If that is said to the ADC, it's just with a whiff of a sniff that it will flow down to other parties without mentioning.
Well, Comrade Jacob.
Yes.
Quite a lot of things to even discuss tonight, but I've been signaled that our time is fast spent. We don't have the luxury of time to even go into other conversation. But on this note, I want to say thank you so much for finding out time to be with us to help us
Thank you very much for having me.
The political space in Nigeria.
Yes.
Well, have you this is how far we can go tonight on Cobrero. Do not forget that you can leave your thoughts, you can leave your comments on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen. And you can also download the RapidTV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your night rest. Bye for now.